Let's talk to Jerry Hayes, though, former MP and barrister, of course, because Jerry, good friend of this show, we haven't spoken to him for a long time. In fact, I think it's the first time this year. Jerry, what's going on?
It is, because the criminal justice system is broken. There's too much work. There's not enough courts. There's not enough barristers. And Keir Starmer's government, what has he done to save money? He's cut 20% of the courts every week.
Blimey.
I mean, it's
well, I mean, of course, that's all very well for it's all very well for the ordinary jobbing barrister like you, Jerry. But you know, if you're Mike Amesbury, the MP, you can suddenly get a rushed appeal system through without hesitation. I mean, how does he get an appeal on the sentencing scenario that he got so quickly?
You do when it's magistrates' court. Magistrates' court's Crown Court is fairly quick. Court of Appeal, whoa, you could wait a year, maybe more than that. So there's nothing particularly unusual about that. And you're probably going to ask about the sentence. Well, I looked up the guidelines this morning.
Yeah.
For something like this, 26 weeks is about right.
Yes.
If you plead guilty at the first opportunity, which he clearly did because it's a magistrate's court, you cut it by a third and it works out at 10 weeks. Next question is, look, should it be suspended? What's the test for suspension? Is there a realistic chance of, rehabilitation?
Yes.
And obviously with him, there is, because he's a man of good character. But the big thing
he was a man of good character. He got filmed beating the crap out of a guy who said something to him he didn't like.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was. I was actually quite. It's not often I'm shocked, but I was really very shocked at seeing that. And then him saying, you know, you don't threaten your MP anymore, do you? You don't threaten your MP, after hitting him when he was on the ground.
Yeah, 5 times.
Lucky he wasn't committed to the Crown Court on a more serious charge.
Yes. I mean, I would have said, if I was arguing for the prosecution, that this is clearly a man who's a danger to the public. He needs to go into prison for a short period of time in order to reminisce and think about that and to ruminate upon it and to decide why he should never do it again.
Yeah, the trouble is you have to have to be called dangerous in the technical sense. It has to be a specified offence. Now, if they'd have charged him with ABH, because I imagine this guy, I don't know, because it wasn't mentioned in the papers, got some unpleasant injuries, not really serious, but not trivial either. That's an ABH. That's a maximum of 5 years.
Yes.
Then he would have had really serious
But this is what troubles people, right? They think that this guy's been treated with kid gloves. It looks bad. Now, I can take all of your points, and of course they're all, as I would expect, Jerry, very, very much based in the law. But, you know, first of all, so why didn't he get charged with a more serious offence? I would suggest it's because he's an MP and because maybe somebody had a word with somebody. Why did he suddenly get a lighter sentence than he could have got? Maybe because somebody had a word with somebody. Why has he now been told he doesn't have to serve any time in prison at all? It seems to me that it's all working in his favour, and I don't believe those things happen by accident.
Well, there's no evidence for any of that. We all might think.
Of course there isn't. There's no evidence. There's no evidence that there's oxygen in the air, but you know there is.
No, but I mean, I do 60% of my practice is prosecuting, and I have to make decisions not in cases like this because they're relatively minor, unless you're the chap who got thumped. And CPS doesn't work like that. It really does not work like that. If there was any interference by any member of parliament or government minister, there would be all hell, and it would leak out.
Yes.
It really would. People would resign.
Yeah.
I would resign if that was happening. But
of course you would.
That. Yeah, we haven't got to that stage. But something you were talking about earlier, which is absolutely right. What has happened to free speech in this country? I mean, I was doing Good Morning Britain the other day. Do you remember there was that granny who was on Facebook? And
Helen
what she
Jones.
Did, terrible, yeah. She did this terrible thing. She criticised a Labour councillor. So what was they sent the police along. No one thinks for one moment that she committed an offence.
No,
but
they didn't even think she had. But here's a contrast for you. For the Greater Manchester Police, who sent those 2 detectives round to have a word, they still have yet to do anything about the man who threatened Simon Danchuk, who was running as a Reform MP, with death. Right? He was arrested. They interviewed him. They passed the file to the CPS over a year ago. CPS have done nothing.
Yeah. That surprises me. It really surprised me. But I think probably because there's a political element here, and they've got to make sure they come to court, if they do come to court, with clean hands.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, people are entitled to say, where is the common sense in that?
Exactly.
it is deeply concerning about freedom of speech. And I'm afraid I do not trust Starmer. I do not trust Starmer's instincts. I mean, look what he did to pensioners and still do pensioners in the cold. And the Labour government, it's hard to believe. Absolutely appalling. Yesterday, bit of grandstanding. Actually, to be fair, he did quite well. But what Trump
I thought it was awful. I was embarrassed for him and embarrassed for us as a country, actually, that he's the guy representing us.
Yeah, but he played Trump for a bit. Trump will play him. Heaven knows what's going to happen. It'll be all cock a hoop. It will be overspun. Starmer comes back, the great hero, and then he'll mess it up again. And it's interesting. I mean, it's slightly off-piste. The number, going back to Mike Amesbury, the number of people that have been appointed to the government who've got criminal convictions.
Yeah. I know. Seems extraordinary.
Absolutely shocked. Doesn't do anyone any research.
Also, let me ask you this question. What about Jonathan Reynolds, right, who posed as a solicitor, not only on his CV, spoke in the Houses of Parliament, in the House of Commons, and claimed that he was a solicitor, has also done it in various interviews over time. Now, according to the people that I talk to in the legal business, that's a crime.
Yeah, it is. If you're saying, "Oh, I'm a solicitor, give me some money to do something," that would be the crime. What he's done is just lied about what's on his CV, which just shows.
It's a pretty bizarre thing to do, though.
Yeah, but it's a dreadful thing to do. Same with Rachel from accounts.
Yeah.
I mean, this great economist from the Bank of England. Hello, no. she was doing HR. Nothing wrong with HR. It's wonderful.
Rachel from Complaints, as she's now known.
Rachel from Complaints.
Well, let's not forget Louise Haigh, the convicted fraudster who's made the Secretary of State for Transport. It was unbelievable.
Oh, and Tulip Sadiq. Now, this is great.
Oh, yes.
She's made the Minister for Anti-Corruption. Yeah. And the stories about her and her aunt, who was the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh. I mean, for heaven's sake, don't they do any research at all?
Tulip Sadiq, the only woman I've ever come across who doesn't understand or doesn't know how she managed to get a house to live in. She's not sure whether somebody gave it to her or somebody bought it for her. She doesn't know.
Oh, who?
I mean, listen, easily done.
Yeah, easily done. Particularly the ones abroad. Those lovely little villas. For God's sake!
My God, listen, Jerry, we must do this more often because I've missed you. When you invite me for lunch, by the way,
we can do lunch now.
We can. Last time we did lunch, it lasted a very long time, but I'm quite happy to do that. So we'll be in touch. We'll get you sorted. Thank you very much indeed.